Neil Moss, a 20-year-old philosophy student at Oxford University, died on March 24, 1959, while exploring a narrow shaft in Peak Cavern, Derbyshire. What began as an exciting adventure became a harrowing 48-hour rescue attempt that captured the world's attention. How did this young caver become trapped, and why couldn't he be saved? Let's delve into the tragic story of Neil Moss's final expedition. Peak Cavern, also called Devil's Arse, is an extensive cave system in Derbyshire, England. It has many underground paths and rooms in the limestone hills. People who like to explore caves have been trying to discover their secret for hundreds of years. In 1959, only some of the caves had been mapped. There were still new paths and holes to be found. Neil Moss loved exploring caves. He was part of the group called the British Speleological Association and had been in many caves before, but Peak Cavern was special to him. Its confusing tunnels and unexplored deep parts excited him about what he might find. On Sunday, March 22nd, 1959, Neil Moss and 7 other cave explorers visited Peak Cavern. They had a big goal: to explore a small hole found just 2 weeks before in a faraway room, about 1,000 feet from where the cave starts. The group brought ropes, lights, and helmets. They were ready for a hard journey. Going into Peak Cavern was challenging. The team had to move through the tight, twisting paths and crawl through muddy tunnels. After hours of careful moving, they finally got to the newly found room. They were amazed by its beauty and the pretty rock formations on its walls. Their main goal was at the room's far end, a narrow, straight-down hole that they thought was about 40 feet deep. No one had ever gone down this new path before, and the team knew that whoever got to the bottom first would be doing something important. Neil Moss was tall and thin and said he would go down first. His friends gave him a 75-foot wire ladder in case the hole was more profound than they thought. They told him to be careful of a twist in the middle of the hole, but Moss felt sure he could do it. At about 3:30 p.m., Neil Moss started going down into the unknown. He carefully climbed down the ladder, disappearing into the dark below. His friends waited nervously, listening for any signs of trouble or exciting discoveries. 12 feet down, Moss met the first challenge, the twist. He got through it effortlessly and found himself on a 10-foot long flat path. He crawled through this tight space, pushing the ladder ahead, excited about what might be next. At the end of the flat path, Moss saw another straight down drop, about 18 feet deep. Without stopping, he kept going down. But as he got near the bottom, he found something he didn't expect. A big rock block in his way. Moss wanted to keep going, so he tried to move the rock. But when he did this, he accidentally made the ladder get stuck under him. He realized he was in a dangerous spot and decided to go back up. But when Moss tried to climb back up, he discovered something scary. The narrow space of the hole and the stuck ladder left him almost no room to move. He couldn't lift his feet to climb the ladder steps, and there wasn't enough space to crawl upwards. Moss started to feel very scared when he realized he was trapped. He called out to his friends above, his voice echoing, "I'm stuck. I can't move at all." Neil's friends quickly tried to help. They wanted to pull him up using the ladder, but it was stuck tight. Then they lowered a rope, hoping Moss could grab it and be safely pulled up. But he couldn't get a good grip in the tight space of the hole. As time passed, things got worse. Moss's body was blocking the air in the narrow hole, causing bad air to build up. He started to act strange and his words becoming unclear and mixed up. When they saw how bad things were, some team members ran out of the cave to get help. News of Neil Moss's problems spread fast, and a significant rescue effort soon started. By nighttime, Peak Cavern was very busy. Rescue teams from all over England came to help, including people from the Royal Air Force, the Royal Navy, National Coal Board, and local police. Experienced cave explorers from different groups also came to help. The most important thing was to get Neil Moss some fresh air. Oxygen tanks were brought to the cave, arriving at around 12:30 a.m. A tube was carefully lowered down the hole, giving Moss some good air to breathe. All night and into the next day, rescuers kept trying to reach Moss. Thin volunteers tried to squeeze down the hole, but the bad air and tight space made them turn back. One cave explorer, Ron Peters, reached Moss and tied a rope around his chest. But when they tried to pull him up, it only made it harder for Moss to breathe. As the rescue team entered its second day, An 18-year-old girl named June Bailey, a small cave explorer from Manchester, came to help. Because she was so small, people hoped that she could reach Moss. Bailey bravely went down the hole, but had to come back because of the bad air. The rescue team tried everything they could think of. They used air tanks to clear the bad air from the hole. They covered the walls, rope, and ladder with mud to make them smoother, hoping it would make it easier to pull Moss out. Some even tried to dig below the hole, looking for another way to reach Moss. When it seemed things couldn't get any worse, it started to rain heavily. This could have flooded parts of the cave. The rescue teams had to leave for a while, and precious time was lost as they waited for the water to go down. Everything was quiet when the rescuers could finally return to the room. They couldn't hear Neil Moss breathing anymore, which they had been able to hear before. A doctor from the RAF was sent down to check, and he found what everyone was afraid of. Neil Moss had died from breathing bad air and being very tired. Everyone involved in the rescue team got ready to bring Neil's body out, but Eric Moss made a hard decision. He was afraid that trying to get the body out might put more people in danger, so he asked for the hole to be closed up, making it Neil's final resting place. Following his wishes, the rescuers used loose rocks from the room's floor to cover the hole's opening. The room where Neil went down for the last time was later named Moss Chamber, to remember him. The sad death of Neil Moss shocked many people, especially those who explore caves. It showed how dangerous it can be to explore new cave passages and how important it is to be safe. After this, people changed how they explored caves and rescued people. They made things safer. Neil's story is now told to teach new cave explorers about the dangers of exploring underground. Today, there's a simple sign near the closed-up hole to remember Neil Moss. People still tell this story in books, articles, and TV shows, ensuring people don't forget what happened. The Neil Moss cave accident reminds us how unforgiving cave exploration can be. Sadly, what started as an exciting adventure into the unknown ended in tragedy, impacting people who explored caves in the village of Castleton. As Neil Moss's sad story ends, we learn a big lesson about exploring caves. Maybe this might not have happened if they had checked the cave more carefully, or had been more careful in general. What if they had better tools or ways to talk to each other? Or if they had waited for people with more experience to help? Neil's story shows us how nature can be surprising and dangerous, even when we're having an adventure. If you like this story and want to hear more, please click the subscribe button. When you subscribe, it helps us share more exciting true stories like this one. Don't forget to watch our next video, where we'll tell another amazing story about people exploring and being brave.